What's going on, guys? Holmes Forum coming at you guys with another video. In today's video, I'm still talking about free agency and what's going on with the Detroit Lions. You know, the NFL got some, it's been a free agent frenzy since pretty much Monday. And we're going on to Thursday. And we did sign cornerback AMIK Robertson. We signed him a day or two ago. You know, I'm just getting this out now. Sorry about that, but that's just the way it is. 5'9", 183 pounds, 185 pounder. Not a big kid whatsoever. Going into, I believe he's about 25, 26 years old. I actually didn't write that down, but I know he's going into his fifth year, so I'm assuming he's about 25, 20, you know, from 24 to 26. I did not write that down though. Sorry about that, but I know he's a younger guy, not old whatsoever. He went to college, obviously, with Louisiana Tech. He was a Bulldog. 3 years there, 184 tackles, 23 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 34 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 14 interceptions in 3 years. He was a ball hawk at Louisiana. Getting to the ball, making some plays, sacks, tackles for loss. He got himself drafted in the 4th round. 139th overall by the Las Vegas Raiders back in 2020. He's been in the league, you know, for a few years, 21, 22, 23. So he was 3 years at Vegas, and 4 years. Sorry, 4 years at Vegas, and his NFL stats: 21 games started, 111 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hit, 2 sacks, a touchdown, 1 fumble recovery, 2 forced fumbles, and 4 interceptions. He also did have a touchdown as a kick return at Louisiana Tech as well too. He was a guy that was kind of coming into his own with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this move to me, you know, is a depth move, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's one of my. It's not a game-changing move. It's not. Oh my God, we got AMIK Robertson from the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to the Super Bowl. But honestly, this is one of my favorite moves so far that Brad Holmes has done. And I know he hasn't done a lot, and he hasn't made a lot of this fan base happy. I wanted him to do a little bit more. I really wanted Danielle Hunter, but that's a whole other video that I probably won't do. But you know, I wanted to see Holmes do something else. But he's bringing in who he brings in, his fillers. He's going to do the draft. You know, we got some guys possibly coming in. You know, at defensive tackle. Maybe a DJ Reader or an Eric Armstead that could play a little bit tackle and defensive end. But right now, he's done what he's done. And Robertson is one of my favorite, intriguing. I won't really say favorite. How about intriguing? One of the more intriguing pickups, because he was a guy that, you know, like when these guys get picked for your team, you really want to do some work on them. That's why it kind of takes me a couple days to get these videos out, because I want to watch a little bit of film on them. I want to watch that all 22. I'll watch highlights and lowlights on YouTube. I don't really like to go there too much because, you know, it's always like one negative or one positive too much. So I kind of like to watch game film, and I like to see the guy in action for totality of like 4 quarters, right? You have to see that, like what he's doing during the game, the interceptions, the completion percentage against. The sacks, the tackles, whatever he's doing right and wrong, you kind of want to get into it. And this guy was really interesting. You know, they signed him to a 2-year deal, $9.25 million, which is roughly about $4.6 million per season, with a possibility of $10.75 million incentive. I think right now he's a backup. He's probably going to back up maybe Sutton, or he could be backing up Carlton Davis on the other one. He could play some nickel as well too. I think, talking to Raider Nation, I got a couple friends that are actually Raider fans, and they actually really like this kid. And if you go on some of those Raider Nation boards, and you get in those chat rooms, and you talk these guys up, majority of this fan base really like this kid. He played at 5'9", 185, like I said, a small guy that does not play small. Antonio Pierce, the head coach of the Raiders, even came out and goes, he's a guy, he goes, I don't want to say it's like a little man complex, but this guy walks around like he's 6'2", 220 pounds. He doesn't play like a 5'9". I don't think he's even 5'9", But that's what he's listed at right now at the NFL level. 5'9", 185 or 187, whatever he is, 183. He's a smaller back, smaller cornerback, but he plays big. Now, but they love the kid, and you know, Max Crosby putting out a tweet too that Detroit got a dog. Antonio Pierce talking him up. Raider Nation pretty much talking him up. You know, and you try to find the negatives on him too as well. I mean, it's not just all positives. You want to kind of have an even field there. You want to see what's what. He's a guy that does get beat. You know, he plays. He's got the disadvantage right off the bat with his size. But if he gets burned on a play, and he does get burned. He had like a 60% completion percentage his last 2 years. His first 2 years in the league was pretty rough. You know, 70s, 80s completion percentage against. But his last 2 years, he improved tremendously. And his last 2 years, he started like 12 games in 2023. Started like 7, maybe 6 or 7 in like 2022. Didn't start many his first 2 years. Kind of a role player, kind of depth player. Playing some special teams, you know, getting in there once in a while. But his last 2 years, he was an up and coming guy. That's why he's a little more intriguing to me. But he'll be a guy that will get burned, and then then you ask Raider Nation about him, and he'd be like, he's a guy that gets burned, and then you know, sometime during that game, he's going to make a play to make up for him getting possibly burned. So on a big pass deflection, a tackle for loss, he's gained a few of those, especially in his college level, and an interception, just a big hit. He throws his body around like he's 220, pretty much. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And he's going to be a guy that's going to come in here, he's going to compete right away. I think our two starting corners at the moment on this roster right now are Carlton Davis and Cam Sutton, who I think are both our cornerback twos. I think Davis is a legitimate cornerback two. Sutton, he was playing good at the beginning of the year last year, then kind of fell off. Well, he was really bad. But he could be competing with Sutton. And I'm not saying he's going to take Sutton's job, but this is going to be a kid that I'm really going to be taking a look at during OTAs, during TC training camp, and during the preseason. This guy could be a kid that steals a job from somebody. Now, there's people out there that think that Brian Branch is going to get moved back to safety, and then this kid's going to just step right into nickel. I think he's a better outside corner, even though he is a smaller corner. I think most Raider fans agree. And I really don't think we're moving Brian Branch from that nickel corner spot anyways. But I know there's a kid that has a high energy, fearless, plays with his heart on his sleeve. He's the Dan Campbell type of guy. He's got attitude too. You start to see these little clips here and there. He's not afraid to hit. He's not afraid to throw his 5'8.5", 5'9" body around and lay a hit on a wide receiver. And you got Lions fans out there that will say, well, who's this guy covering? He's 5'9". He's covering wide receivers. That's what he's doing. That's what his job is. He's been doing it for 4 years, and he's gotten better at it, I think, every year, especially the last 2. Now, again, I'm not coming in here trying to sell to you guys that our cornerback room is set. We're set. We just picked up AMIK Robertson. No, I just like he intrigues me. He's very intriguing. Now, that could mean nothing. This is just my opinion. Like I'm a YouTuber, man. I work in the auto industry. Okay? I'm a fan, but I'm a YouTuber. So I try to do a little work on these guys before I go out there and I tell you if he's going to be good or bad. I don't know how he's going to be for the Lions, but I know he improved yearly with the Las Vegas Raiders, especially the last 2. Improved his completion percentage against, his tackle totals. He started actually starting games. Starting, I believe it was like 19 to 20 games in the last 2 years, where the years prior, it was like 2 games he started in his first 2 years in the NFL, being a young corner. So, they were trusting him. They were trusting him as a coaching staff. Pierce loved him. He's like, I wish we would have been able to find a way to bring him back. We just couldn't. And, things just didn't work out. And then you're going to get your fans that they're going to be like, if he was so good, why did the Raiders get rid of him? Sometimes it just doesn't fit. Sometimes there's just not a fit. They want to just go a different way, and it happens like that. It happens like that. It's not that he's a bad player, and I'm not saying he's a great player, but I'm very intrigued to see what this kid brings to the table, because he's better than what people will tell you. But he's no superstar, but he's just intriguing to me. And I'm very, very interested to see what this kid does for the Lions, if he can snap away a job from somebody. I don't think he's replacing a guy like a Brian Branch on the inside. But if I was Cam Sutton, I'd be having my head on a swivel. And I'm not saying he's better than Cam Sutton either. I'm just saying Cam Sutton might need his head on a swivel this year with this kid lurking around. He could be a guy that could possibly be stealing some snaps from certain individuals in this cornerback room, in this secondary altogether. Everybody except the safeties, but you guys know where I'm getting at. So, a good pickup by Brad Holmes. You got him on the cheap. You got him on a 2-year deal. We'll see what happens. Maybe this kid steals a job and the success rate goes up for him and he makes more money in the future. But I thought this was a pretty decent pickup, and it's starting to be one of my favorite pickups, even though the kid's not even a starter right now. So I thought it was a pretty solid job of getting a kid with this kid's caliber of talent. So I think the sky's the limit. I think the arrow's kind of pointing up with this kid. So it could be better right there. So I like that, man. I like that. And I like everything that has gone on through his career. He's just gotten better every single year. And you see it in the numbers, and then you see it in the fan base. You see it from the coaches that talk about him. They love him. The fan base loves him. So it's just that's a good sign. It's always a good sign. It's not always the most positive sign, because certain players get unwarranted love for some reason. There's always that one guy. There's always that one or two players that a fan base falls in love with. The fan favorite is what they call it. So this guy was kind of one of their fan favorites. A guy that plays well on the field, sometimes is a liability, but kind of makes up for it in the end. He'll always kind of make up for it, man. But he does give up some plays. He really does. And he's just a smaller dude. So, he doesn't act like it. So that's it, guys. AMIK Robertson, corner. It was a much needed move. I was hoping that Brad Holmes would start adding to the secondary. He's added a couple pieces to the secondary so far. Free agency's still going on. Draft around the corner. Brad Holmes isn't done, I don't think. I think he's going to sign one more player. If it's going to be on the defensive line, corner, who knows? But I think another guy's coming in, I think, sooner or later. And then we got the draft. So, AMIK Robertson, guys. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell up top. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. How do you guys feel? AMIK Robertson in the house. One pride. Detroit Raiders, everybody. Let's go. Boom.